Seems legit.
Hello, Legitimates and Knuckles. Yes, hello, Knuckles. Today we are decorating a denim jacket. It doesn't quite fit me. It is a little tight, but we've done a glorious panel on the back. And then we've used the coordinate on the front. And then I've just gone around and put like cute little details all over the place, but just kind of more randomly and not perfectly centered to give it like a real cool feel. So let's get started on making it. Things you will need are a denim jacket, mine's from the thrift shop for $10, a panel, matching coordinating fabric, as well as little scissors. They are very handy in this. And then that's pretty much all you need. Alright, so the first thing I've done is taken the tag off because we obviously don't need that anymore. And then we're going to flip it over because this is going to be a back patch. Now, you can't just sew it on like a square and be done. It's too big, it doesn't work. But it's also not going to fit in this space for this size jacket. So if we try and fold that down, right, to the edge, so that would be there. Then the other edge is all the way over here. Which is a lot wider. So we've got a few options. We could follow the same shape and just make it bigger so it fits. You could fit it in that shape and trim down your panel so that it fit within the shape. It depends on what panel you're using. This one I don't want to do that. What I am going to do though is fold at the top here, just above there, and sit that here. That's where I want that to be. And then I want to check the bottom. So if I folded it there, we'd be fine. So we're going to need pins. I have a little container of pins. So with that folded over, I'm also going to, actually, before we go any further, you probably want to open up and undo the jacket so that we can only pin the one layer. Pretty important. And also be careful not to spill your pins. We all know I'm probably going to do it, but we should try to avoid such things. So we're folding it down, and you can iron this if you want to. And then we want to find the center and the center and pin them together. So I want that to sit in that little groove. So I am going to use a few pins. One pin is never enough. One, two, and three. So that's now sitting where we want at the top. Now I'm going to come down to the bottom and do the same thing. So we want to tuck it under and then make sure that it's at the bottom. So we just unfurl it or unfold it. I like the word furl. It's very cool. Unfurl. Sounds fancy. All right. Line it up at the bottom and pin that down as well. And again, you probably want to do more than one pin. So as we go around this is not a straight line at the bottom, it is a slight curve. So you just want to keep tucking it up and under. Like that. Making sure that you keep your panel as flat as possible. Now the other way to do this, depending on your panel, we could, option 2, which I haven't ruled out yet, by the way. This is how you would do the neat panel. Option 2 is that we just do several stitches around the edge, cut off the excess and fray it to have that real punk rock look. I almost feel like that would work, but we'll see. So now I'm going to, and we're doing this for a reason. We will eventually unpick this because I'm going to iron it. But in the meantime, I want to be able to fold this around to see if I like it like this or if I do my original punk rock look. Which, if depending on your panel, could be epic. This could be epic as a punk rock panel. I mean, it is a shirtless guy with nipples. I feel like that's right up the punk rock way. Okay, so we could kind of fold it like a diamond almost, which is cool. Because the panel's wider than that gap. If my panel fit inside that gap, I'd literally just be making it that size. But we're not. Which is not who I am, apparently. So again, we're going to tuck it under, and you will notice that I am leaving a little bit of a gap. Like I'm not right on her arm, that's weird. Tuck it under at the top. And then under at the side. So you can see this side's higher than that side, so we need to fix that. In line with her armpit there, and then fold it under there. So that is a potentially very cool panel to have on the back of your jacket. So what you would do is, if we're doing it this way, which I still haven't decided, but I think I want to go punk rock way, because it's a denim jacket and it just feels like it should, right? But you could, ow, don't do that. You could iron this to get your folds, and then you'll cut off the excess except for say 1/2 inch to tuck under, and then you could just stitch that down as a cool little diamond or jewel shape. I don't hate it. I just think the punk rock way is going to be cooler. So because of that, I'm going to now unpin it all. Don't be afraid to change your mind. Certain panels would be beautiful in like clean, beautiful lines. I feel like this guy though needs a bit of punk rock in his life. So the fold is really just helping, but now I'm gonna pin on the design so that my pins won't get run over, but it's gonna hold it in place. And you also wanna make sure it's centered, which I'm still doing pretty good at, if I'm honest. It's pretty good. You're gonna want a lot of pins for this, especially on like these bits. It depends on how close I wanna get with the stitching. I'm gonna get pretty close, which is gonna be fiddly, but I do think it'll be worth it. So that's what we're gonna do. And I am just using lots of pins along the edge. The more the merrier for this. I also need to pick a color. I think I'm gonna go with, oh, it's a hard decision on what color I want, to be honest. I mean, I could go pale pink because of this background. I could do this kind of antelope, I've got this color, thread, to make it match so it looks like it was always meant to be there. I could go with a pale blue because it's a whole ocean theme and we still have this to put on as all of our accents, which I will get to. But first, lots and lots of pins so nothing moves while I'm trying to stitch around it. Like, I can't stress this enough. Lots of pins. And this little gap here, see how there's like two things? If you want to, you could stitch inside and then cut it and fray it to have like a little hole of fraying. Same with here. I'm not going to go to that extreme, but you could, is what I'm saying. I'm here to give options, right? Options are key. Alright, I think I'm pretty happy with how many pins are in that now. There is no way that that is going to move while I sew. Now, if you're good at free motion quilting, here is your chance. I'm not. We won't be doing it like that. I'll be using the green machine. But this is a domestic friendly, like a domestic machine friendly project. And you could zigzag, you could do little zigzags instead. But let's set up the machine, change the camera angle, and let's stitch this down. And we're going to pop this aside to do after we've done the main panel. So we are all set up with the, I'm going with the same color thread as the jacket, just so it looks like it was always meant to be there. And I'm going to go all the way down to a 2 stitch length. Now, I normally never sew this short, but this is the only thing that's going to stop the jacket from fraying. So we're going to do it. Now, the main thing I need to say right now is try not to sew your fingers or stab your fingers with the needles is probably the best advice I can give. So I'm just going to start here and I'm going to use my foot as a guide and basically do 1/8 of an inch from the design. And then we're going to come back and do a second line all the way around and go right next to them to stop any fraying of the actual design. Now, these are quite small stitches. And again, if you're a free motion quilter, now is your chance to really shine. I'm clearly not it. So we're doing it the old-fashioned point and turn way. Now, does the stitching need to be perfect? Absolutely not. It just needs to look cool. And you can have a big border around this, or you can have a little border. I'm not trying to be too perfect with it. I'm just kind of getting around it. It's got that feel to it. But again, if you've got a different panel, you might want to do it a different way. And if you hate this idea, do the tucked edges. And I want a bit of fraying around this. That's kind of the look I'm going for. What I am not going to do is go down her arm though. I'm not going into that gap. I don't want it to fray that much around her. It's just more of like a rough look. Alright, we're getting close, but not too close. Also, after our first layer of stitches, I will be taking all the pins out so I don't stab myself. Because we can all see that I'm going to do it. I've already done it once. I'm also not getting too up in this little area here. I want smooth-ish lines. Alright, wherever I've stitched, I'm actually going to take the pins out because I'm constantly putting my hands on it and I will stab myself with a pin. And it will just suck and I don't want to. See, I can already do this now without stabbing myself. It's kind of wonderful. Now again, if you're better at free motion quilting than I am, then this is going to work out really, really well for you. And then again, take the pins out where you've already been. And it just helps. I'm not exactly being gentle in my turning and grabbing and poking and stuff. Pivot. This is why a knee lift is so amazing, by the way. Needle down. I just accidentally took out another pin. Pivot. If you've got a knee lift for your domestic machine, put it on. It's amazing, I promise. Again, I'm not trying to be too perfect. That's not the look that I want. And I want to fray it. So I want it close, but not so close it's ridiculous. But I am nearly back to the start. So we take out the last two pins and at least now I can stop stabbing myself. And And then when we get back to the start, I'm gonna just go over a couple of the stitches and then back stitch. Then I'm just gonna jump. And we're now going to do a second line. And again, we just want to be close-ish to the first one. This can almost be more tricky. But this is just to give like double defense. If you're on a domestic, you could also do like a really small zigzag. And it's just so that the fraying that we're about to do won't go the whole way through the design. It's got like 2 lines of defense instead of just 1. Alright, and it might look a bit weird. Trust the process. If your lines overlap a little bit, that's okay for this look. Again, I'm not going for perfect. I'm going for like awesome. Needle down, pivot again. Now this method might not be everyone's way. Like you might have preferred the folded way, in which case you'd be finished stitching by now. And that's okay. You're allowed to like what you like. I originally thought I was going to do the neat way. But I put on red lipstick today, and apparently that's turned me into a bit more punk. Call that as ridiculous as you like. I'm feeling it today. We're about halfway. The top half's the easy bit because we're not overly close to all the stuff. Oh, my arms are getting sore. I can tell you that right now. Home stretch, kind of. Almost looks like a weird treasure map, all this stitching. And I'm not mad, I'll tell you that right now. Can I also point out that you could do this on anything? It doesn't have to be a jacket. You could sew this onto the front of a bag in the same way to give it that kind of distressed look. You have options. Alright, I'm going to trim them off. And so now we're left with this. Which looks weird, but just, you know, trust the process. Now I'm going to get some scissors. And I'm going to cut towards the stitching. And then I'm going to eyeball about 1/2 inch. You don't want too much fraying. There is a thing as too much. It'll look more like tassels than fraying. These are my little $10 Class A scissors. They've got like a little curve to them, so they're actually perfect for what I'm trying to do. You can get as close as you need to. Alright, so you can see I'm just leaving like a bit. We are going to fray this up before we finish, because right now it kind of just looks stupid, and I am aware of that. But we're not finished. Lots of things look stupid before they're finished. I'm also going to just take off that bulk because it's kind of in my way. I'm also going to switch the scissors now that I've switched the direction that I'm cutting. This is going to look so good. Just also make sure you're not cutting your denim jacket. Alright, put the rubbish in the bin. But see, so now we've got like a border. Here's where things are going to take a minute. The slow way to do it is to kind of just pull at these edgy bits. You want to pull them out and off. And we're literally going to fray all that fabric. So you can see here. Now this is a cotton canvas panel, but because Jodie's cotton canvas is so good, the threads are all really close together. So this is going to take a while. Another way to do it is to chuck it in the dryer and let it get beat up in the dryer, right? That will also work in your favor. But once you start getting a few threads, you can kind of just pluck at them, and you can see I'm already getting a bit of a frayed edge. So you want that to go all the way pretty much down to your stitching. And that's why your sew-all is so handy. So see how I'm getting the frayed look? And then I will pull out the excess threads. And when you grab one, it will go all the way across. So even though I'm concentrating here, it's also fraying all along here because I'm pulling out individual threads to get this done. Sometimes they're easy to grab and sometimes not so much. So I'm not going to make you watch any more of this. You're going to get the idea. Because we want this kind of jagged look, but just down to your stitching, not further. Okay, so you want to dig. I'm basically digging down to the stitching and then stopping and then just pulling out those little bits. You might need to cut some threads, and that's okay too. But you can see I'm pulling it out. I know I said I was going to stop, but it's working really well. Right? And then see the long ones? See those long threads? They're too long. We're chopping them down. Right? You only want a little bit of fuzz. Too much looks ridiculous. Not enough looks like it's an accident. So you just want like a ½ inch. Just a little bit. So you do that all the way around. I'm going to do it at the end. We're going to move on. Because we can. I want some fabric on the front, and I think I want it in this little section here. So we're going to grab the coordinating fabric, which is amazing. I will turn this into other stuff as well. But we've got two really cool designs here. So we've got the one that matches, right, which is this guy here with the beard and the arms and the nipples. Then we've got this guy with the green beard. And he is also very cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut these out to fit on each side of the front of the jacket in this little, what's this? The top panel-y section here. So, you want to open out the jacket and kind of move the arm so that this is as smooth as you can get it. We want it lovely and flat. And then you want to grab one that's, okay, we're going to take this guy and this guy because you either want to take it from the bottom, but where it's being cut, we're chopping, actually, take it from the top, right? Because I've got just a little bit to overhang. So we're going to take this guy and then we're going to take maybe that guy if we don't lose too much of him when I trim it down. Because, nah, that guy's not going to work. All right. So because I want him in the middle, there's the middle, and there's not enough fabric. So unfortunately, fussy cutting, we're going to lose a little bit more, but it's going to look better, so we're doing it. Alright, so here's my little patch above my little pocket. So this will be in the middle. Grab him, put him in the middle, feel around, make sure that you're getting it all, or you're losing an equal amount. You can look at that either way you like. So that's where I want it. Now you could do the same as the other one, but we're going to do it the other way, weirdly enough. I don't want this guy to be a patch. I want to fold it into all of the corners. So I'm just going to put 3 pins, 1, 2, and 3, to kind of hold it in place. And then you want something erasable. So I'm going to use the Chaco pen unless it's the wrong color. We will see in a minute. And I'm just going to trace out the edge of where all the seams are. And you can feel them with your hands. Right? You can literally feel them. So, the pins are just to stop it moving while I'm tracing it. And of course, you don't have to use a Chaco pen. You can use something much stiffer if that is your jam. So that's the shape we're going for. You can unpin it now. And so then I'm going to take the red scissors again. And we're just going to leave a little bit of a border around. And this will be so we can tuck it in. And see how we're cutting into this guy? It means we won't be able to use that one for the other side. It's not a bad thing. It just means you will use up a little bit more of the fabric. But it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make it look amazing. That's pretty much how that goes. I'm just going to put that aside for a minute. I'm going to come back to the jacket. Oh, I already love it so much. And then I'm going to take this top edge. I'm going to start, just pick any side you want. Right? And I'm going to fold that corner and then put the corner where the corner's meant to be. And pin it down. Now, I like to be able to run over my pins where possible. So they will be the opposite way to the way we're going to stitch. Right, and you can see the edge, so you can see where I can tuck it all. While my line was just more of a rough guide, this is working out perfectly. I'm also going to stop here so that we're not going over the buttonholes, for obvious reasons. You won't be able to use it if there's a buttonhole in the way. And I'm just going to go to the top of the pocket. Right, you just want to make sure that it's folded under enough. Now this is obviously a little tricky. Hold on, what's going on here? Tuck it under, pin it down. I always put my pin so that the ball's going to be on the outside of where I'm stitching. I personally find that easier, but each to their own. You can also just cut like a really big space and then trim it down as you go, because I'm looking at this and I've obviously fallen on that, so I'm losing a corner. That's all right. It'll add to the charm. But basically, I've accidentally cut off a corner. Over this side, see here? So we're just going to have that angle across nicely. And then we'll just copy that on the other side and it'll look like I meant to do it the whole time. Now, tuck it under, pin it down, and then we're just going to top stitch around that edge. And boom, really cool guy in the front of the jacket. Again, you could turn him into a patch. You could satin stitch all the way. That's a blunt pin. That's not going telling you anything. You could satin stitch around the guy and then trim off the excess and it'll actually look like a patch. You have that option too. Just use a really small zigzag and then just make it so your machine, normally how we've got like a 2.5 stitch length, you'd have it as like half a stitch length. And then you would zigzag all the way around. But see how now that is going to be like a cool little patch. I like it. I don't know about you guys. I think it's going to look so cool. So I'm going to stitch pretty close to the edge. I'm going to go up to a 2.5 for this. Because I'm tucking the edges under. Again, if you're doing the satin stitch, small zigzags, tiny amount of stitching forward. So it'll just move a little bit so you get your zigzags really close together and it looks like a satin stitch. It's pretty cool. Can be done, just takes a long time. And again, you could make this whole thing on your domestic if you wanted to. Needle down, pivot around. I want to make sure that that corner's all the way in the corner. Open my pin case, come down this curve. Now if you've got an embroidery machine, you could further embellish all of this. I will give pointers as we go. If you can digitize, you could digitize one of these dudes and put him on like the collar. That'd be cool. I can't do that. Can't digitize at all. There is limits to my computer skills. Alright, I'm going to take all the pins out now. So now you can see the front of the jacket. I'll just angle this up so you can see better. But the front of the jacket now has this really cool patch right at the front. So we're going to do a different one on the other side. It's right above the pocket. Looks cool. And then the back has got like, it looks like a patch, but we're just going to fray it still. So let's do the other side. Funnily enough, this jacket has a stain right there. I don't know if you can see that. See there where my finger is. It's just, I don't know. Almost looks green like a grass stain, although who knows how you got a grass stain up there. But we're about to hide it, so it doesn't matter. You could also soak it. Whatever's going. Now I want to take, which one do I want? This guy here should work. So I'm right next to this guy, but I didn't take this one because I cut into him. See how we lost his shoulder? But this guy next to us here will be fine. And then I've still got enough to make a strap down here later, depending on what I make with the rest of the fabric, which will be another video. So just stay tuned for that too. Alright. We're going to line him up. And again, he's a bit tall. So I care more about the dude than the mermaids. So we're almost going to lose the mermaids, which is not the end of the world. Middle, middle, there. Okay, so I'm just feeling around to make sure of what we're getting. Now if you want to, you could just chop like that, but that's wasting more fabric and I don't want to do that. But I am going to add some pins in here again to make sure that it all sits where it's told. This is going to be so cool. We're not finished, by the way. We're not just doing these 3 things because that feels way too basic and that's just not who I am. What we're going to do is we're going to do like little bits everywhere. It's going to be like a super punk rock jacket. We could be here a while. Alright. See how we're going around there? You just gotta feel it out, which is easier said than done, obviously. Right. So that's done. Let's cut it out. I'm going to cut it out and do it because you've seen me do it. Then we'll do another one. I have pinned it and I have copied that same corner that we ended up with on the other side. Although I think I've done it in the wrong. Oh no, we're right. So I've got the same matching little corner. It now looks like a fancy detail as opposed to a mistake. It now looks like it's meant to be there. It's very easy to cover up mistakes, guys. I do it all the time. And if I didn't do a video, you wouldn't know it was a mistake. It would look like a detail. I promise. Have faith. You are the artist. This is your artwork. Nobody gets to tell you what's wrong. Look at it like that. It'll help. If you struggle with perfectionism, someone somewhere will love your art. I actually plan on giving this away in like a raffle or whatever. Just because I can. And because where I live, it is way too hot to wear jackets. Oh no, okay, so what I've just done, because I'm an idiot. No, I did not backstitch. I promise I'll show you why in a second. I caught the part of the jacket. So I've done like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches. So we're now going to unpick those 8 stitches. Just like that. And let's try that again without all the stuff behind it. I'm actually just going to start at that top and do the whole top edge again. Because it feels the easiest way. And then I'm just going to really make sure nothing's underneath it. Pivot. Down. Whoops. To here. Sometimes the pins do more harm than good. And I can't get close enough. But sometimes you just want to take them out. And that's okay. If the pins aren't helping you, get rid of them. Nobody said you had to keep them in. You could also use like a spray or a glue and glue it in place. Like a fabric glue so it's still flexible. Alright, trim off those tails, flip it over, get the other tails. Now we're starting to look like a super cool jacket. Right? Look at the top of that. How freaking cool. We're not done. So don't think we are. A couple of little extra details I want to do. Down on this bottom strip, let's add something there. You'd be like, why? And the answer is because this fabric has so many cool little details. The details in this fabric is outrageously amazing. So I'm going to use them. So like this bit here that says, ho ho, we're going to cut that out. And we're going to stitch it on. And we're going to do this in that ratty... actually, you don't have to. You could do it in the neat foldy corner way. But first I'm going to just chop it off the main bit because it's little and delicate and that was way too much fabric to deal with at the same time. So I've now got it and I've cut it big enough that I can either stitch around it and trim it down or I can tuck the edges. I think I'm going to tuck the edges. And he's just going to be a cute little patch down here. So what I'm going to do is put like a few of them. Because it'll look cool. And because I can. So because of that, we are going to straighten it up a little bit. That's a bit better. Right. Tuck under the edge. And I kind of want it in the middle of the band. There. So again, with the pins, I've got Fleetwood Mac stuck in my head today. Don't know why, just do. Second one of my sewing machines broke yesterday, so I didn't actually get to do any sewing. So I think I just wanted to start with my day with like happy music. And Fleetwood Mac is one of my happy musics. I mean, how could it not be? Alright, so I'm tucking in all the little raw edges and then just putting in a pin to kind of hold it in place. It's not neat pinning, but you can see where I'm going with this, right? So it's just going to be a little patch down the bottom. And I've decided I don't want to make it square. I just decided then, or rectangle specifically. Rectangles are so boring when we can do something way cooler. So I'm going to do more like a rhombus-y type thing. Because the design's not square. That's why we're doing this. The design is not like a perfect little rectangle. You can see it's like I'm following the general shape of it, but I don't want this much blank. So I'm going to tuck that blank part under and pin it. So we won't lose the design, but we just get more of a free form shape, which I think is quite fitting for this particular jacket. It's the feel we're kind of going for, isn't it? More free form, do what you please. So see, now that looks cool. Again, it's not everyone's style. You don't have to do these, but we all knew I was never going to do anything simple. That'd be too easy. So I'm just following my new freeform shape and taking the pins out as I go, because otherwise it will stab itself and it will hurt. The band is actually quite thick. There's quite a lot of stuff going on underneath there that I can feel. I'm just trying to ignore it. I'm really quite happy with my freeform little doodad there. So I'll show you what that looks like, so that, because you might just think I'm crazy, and I possibly am, but I'm crazy cool. Oh, it's gonna look amazing. So now at the bottom, when you do these up, you've got like a little badge of honor. So we're just gonna put a couple more around the bottom so that they're everywhere. And I almost think that we should put one on the cuff as well. Right, so just the little details out of the fabric are all going to turn into details. So like the dude here, let me cut it out for you. I can't use those hands because they've already been cut off. I'm just gonna cut this one. And again, you always need to remember to cut it bigger so we've got something to tuck under. Unless you're doing the raw edge look, in which case don't worry. See this guy? Perfect, right? So that's one. We might just cut a bunch. This little guy here, he's cool. He can come. And you'll notice that I'm kind of cutting from the scrappy area that otherwise wouldn't be able to be used. Don't cut it from a fresh part unless you don't have a choice. Alright? I'm also going to take the bottom skull and rose crosses from the bigger design, and we're just going to have that as a bit of an accent. You can create your own accents, because I need a few. We're going to need some. So again, I'm overly cutting around, but this is almost like a scrap piece at this point, so it doesn't matter. So I got 3. I don't want big ones. We're not aiming for big ones. Although this one, see this bit here, along the bottom back band, like down here, would be cool because it would fit beautifully. So we might pop that there. So again, with the cutting, cut it bigger than necessary. But again, I'm staying in that scrappy kind of place, which is fine. Alright. I am going to pause the video and put all these on by just tucking them under. So tuck under the edges if you need to, because this is canvas, it is quite thick. If you're new to doing this, go and iron it so that the crease holds, because it will help. Right, I have done some fraying just to give you guys like a look at how it's gonna go. I obviously haven't done all of it, but see how it's like just a bit cool? So I did like a little corner. I've done about a quarter of it. And then, so from the front, we will now have the patch that you saw me do. We're also, I've added this patch here. I was gonna put it at the center back, but the big panel is enough. And I don't wanna overdo it because then it'll look too much. But then, next to the buttonhole on both sleeves, I've put the two different little, like, faces. One's more of a skull than a face, but you get the idea. So we're now going to just sew all of those on. And then I think I'm good with the amount of stuff. Now, you can keep going. Obviously, you can just keep going and going. But, I don't know. I don't want to do too much. Because then there's always room for, like, the person that ends up with a jacket to add more if they want. And also, it's not too in your face. Now, I'm going to take the pins out as I go. There's, like, 6 pins in these tiny little patches just to hold all of the corners and the folds under. And again, if you wanted to, you don't have to fold it under like I did with the big patch. But the big patch has got, like, a whole feel going on. But you could transfer that feel throughout the whole jacket. Have it all tattered and have like a real grungy feel to it. Again, it depends on the panel you're using. I do love this. I wish they had my size jacket. But they didn't. So, we'll be giving this one away. Because it's just cool. Alright. Stitch, back stitch. Also, nothing has been put perfectly centered and lined up. This is not that jacket. You can do it though. Depending on what you're using, you could line everything up so that they're all perfectly symmetrical. Mine are not in the slightest bit symmetrical. And I'm okay with that decision. I did cut out another patch. I haven't decided, I don't think I want to put it on. But if I change my mind, we will add it to the end of this video bit. But I think I'm good with the patches I've got going on. Like, how cute does that look? It almost looks like a tag or a label. I really love that. And it's not perfectly in the center, and it wasn't trying to be. But you could. If you're like an OCD person that can't handle things that are off center, by all means go ahead and center it. It's just not what I was doing. Knee lift is your friend. Pull out the pins as you go. There's like 5 pins in this tiny little thing. Don't be afraid to go backwards if you need to. Won't hurt anyone. And the matching thread, I do actually think was a good idea. It's not perfectly matching. It's not the identical color. But it's close enough that if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't look. Like if you have a look at the color of the stitching versus the color here. Like it's close enough that nobody's really going to question it. Now is that all of them? We've got the 2 down the bottom here. We've got these 2. And again, even though this angle isn't exactly the same, it looks like a detail that's meant to be there. Mistakes can turn into really cool things, so don't dismiss them too quickly. We've got those 2 there, the 2 there, the 2 up the top. Now, if you wanted to, on the collar here, you could put a little something there. But because I've put this, I don't want to because I think that's too much. But it depends, doesn't it? And then the giant back patch. And it will look amazing once it's all frayed. But I did give you like an idea. And you'll see it at the start of the video, which, you know, you'll already know because you've already seen it at the start of the video. There you go, guys. I really like that. I don't think I want to do anything else to it. I don't think I want to overdo it. But here does feel a little plain. I just don't know where I would put more. Like you could put something in this little V, but again, I think it's too much. I think I'm gonna leave it as is. I'm pretty happy. All right, I think we're good. Bye guys, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and if not, that's okay. Not everybody has to like everything. And if you are not subscribed to my channel already, please get onto that, because it's amazing. And the more people I have, the more people see my videos, and then the more videos I will do for you all. All right, bye guys.